Now, page 4, the unsustainable political and practical debt. For some reason, the elected officials in Washington, D.C. believe that the laws of politics can trump the laws of economics. They are the ones who never talk about the debt, which is still reversible, by the way. Very few on Capitol Hill speak to lowering the massive near $22 trillion worth of red ink and the astronomically high unfunded liability. Of course, these temporary politicians are both negligent and wrong. The laws of economics always trump the laws of politics. Former Fed chief Janet Yellen is a good example. Suddenly, she's concerned about the debt. But her solution to the problem isn't cutting the size and scope of government. No, Yellen's solution is raising taxes. That's right. Put the burden on you and me instead of putting the burden on government, which created this pending fiscal fiasco. It is criminal. It is criminal what these elected officials have done and are still doing to our economic future. It's criminal. And chief federal felon is a guy who hails from Vermont, originally from New York. You know him. He's the Medicare for all guy. And if Bernie Sanders gets his way, then government will be transformed even further into a massive piggy bank whose sole purpose will be redistribution of wealth.
We're going to fight to raise that minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour.
Stop the tape. You know, this issue is moot, really. You know, Bernie Sanders has been hawking this raising the minimum wage for years now. But in a thriving economy, which is what we have now, we have an economic boom going on. We have more jobs available than applicants. That's a pretty good thing. It's not so good for a company looking for candidates. But if you're out there looking for a job, or you were during the Obama administration where jobs were not plentiful, they are today. So the $15 minimum wage is a function of society, right? In fact, there should be no minimum wage. The government should have no role in a, quote, minimum wage. The minimum wage in this republic should be zero. Why? Because it should be up to the free market. It should be up to the companies to decide. Let the free market decide what the, quote, minimum wage should be for each individual job. There's no maximum wage, although Bernie Sanders would be in favor of that. We know that. You hit a certain maximum income, he wants to start taking 100% of it. That's his plan. Roll tape.
And when we talk about wage fairness, we're going to do away with the absurdity of women making 80 cents on the dollar.
Stop the tape. This is also moot in a healthy economy, but it's also a lie. It's a giant lie that's been proffered by the Democrat Party, led by Bernie Sanders, who calls himself an independent, but he's a progressive just like the rest of the Democrats. It's an outright lie. This company, One America News, doesn't hire a male and then hire a female and say, oh, we're going to pay you 80% of what we're paying that male. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you look at the numbers and you compare apples and apples, men and women in identical careers spending the same amount of time in that industry, the pay is the same. It's virtually the same. The reason why there is a differential is that women tend to leave the workforce. And so when you look at it in the aggregate number, there might be a lower number versus a man who's been in the workforce. It's that simple. But it's by law, pay has to be the same. It would be illegal to pay 80 cents on the dollar. Bernie? Roll tape.
And when we talk about women's rights, we know that it's not the government who's going to control a woman's body. It is the women themselves.
Stop tape. What about the baby? What about that little life inside the womb, Bernie? We don't ever hear you talking about that. We only talk about this so-called right. Well, abortion is not a right. There is no right to abortion in this republic. We have a court ruling from 1973, and we have potential challenges to this ability, not a right, an ability, a legal ability to have abortion in this country. But I also think that we have a philosophical and moral challenge going on right now. You know, a lot of people like to take shots at the millennial generation, but there is evidence that millennials are more moral and more anti-abortion than their parents in the baby boom generation. And yes, if somebody was chiding me that you can't be a parent baby boomer or millennial, yes, you can. I'm technically a baby boomer, and my daughter is technically a millennial. So yes, you can.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.